Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to Inside the Matrix. We're so happy to have you here with us today. And my guest today is somebody very special. She's an amazing gal, and we're going to show you just how amazing she is in just a second. But her name is Katie Raine, and she's joining us from I'm not sure where. Katie, where are you? Where are you at these days?
I'm in Kauai right now, Hawaii.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I wish I was out there too. Just something close to paradise, right?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing here.
Anyway, okay, so Katie's, a young gal, but she's had an amazing life up to this point, and it's just going to get even more amazing. I'm absolutely certain. But I want to share with you guys this little video. So we're going to pull that up right now. Well, Katie, pretty amazing what you've accomplished so far, from a competitive surfer to pilot to plasma ship. I don't know. Explain to us about the plasma ship and how all that occurred, if you would.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, Jimmy. Yeah, your backstory was amazing to hear your history and your experience with all this. You've been in the game for a long time, so it's just
Yeah.
awesome to hear it from the first wave of star seeds that came here to kind of pave the way for my generation. Is a lot easier on our end these days to speak up and come public, but. Yeah, so I grew up in a small place on the east coast of Canada called Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. And when I was pretty young, around 12 years old, my father pulled out this old surfboard from his shed. And I instantly, I looked at it, I'm like, let's try it. I want to go out. And so we went to the nearest beach. And I caught my first wave. I was instantly hooked. To the point where I'd call it an addiction. Just the feeling of riding the wave, all of the energy. Later on, I realized that it was, harvesting of plasma energy, and it's probably the nearest thing to operating a plasma ship, and that's probably why I was so drawn to it. So I got into surfing quite young, and it's something that I wanted to do every single day, always on my mind. And I got into competing at a young age, so I traveled quite a bit to compete. And later down the road, I was approaching the age of 16, 17, and my parents were like, okay, you got to, decide what you want to do, for a career. And I had no idea, I didn't even know myself at that age. So I was still, discovering who I was, and all I wanted to do was basically surf and travel. But my generation, there's a lot of pressure from parents or family to continue on and continue your education and choose a career very early on in your life. And I had no idea. Something just dropped into my consciousness. It's like pilot, and I was like, oh, that would be cool, to learn how to fly planes. And I was always interested in I was more concerned or intrigued by how these, fixed wing aircraft stayed in the air. I was more intrigued by the aerodynamics of it and how it functioned. And I remember being drawn to it, not just because of the travel aspect, but yeah, just understanding the mechanics of it. And so I ended up getting a full paid scholarship to go to aviation school in Toronto, Ontario at Seneca College. And it was a 4-year degree program in applied aviation, a bachelor's degree, where I graduated with my commercial pilot license, my integrated airline transport pilot license, the whole bang. And I remember as I was going through school, I'd get into the plane and I would just be really repulsed by, the reverberations of the engine, the noise. I couldn't quite connect to the land. Like my idea of flying was like to actually connect with the land from above, and the energies. And there was, I was always a fearless child, but some aspect of flying these machines like did have it put a little bit of fear in me. And I didn't realize it, until I graduated. That year I had, ironically, there was 4 fellow students who randomly died in the most random plane crashes in the entire history of my flight school. And so that made me just kind of like step back and like assess the situation. And I never liked the energy of airports. Because I was always very empathic and sensitive to energies. And so being around these energies of the airports that were completely in dissonance to the harmonics of nature, I was picking up. And yeah, and I knew from early on in school that I didn't want to work for a corporation. I didn't want to work in a city hub or an airline, or there was a lot of things that were not checking boxes in my books. And I decided to I graduated, I stuck it out and graduated, but I decided to kind of take a break from it after graduation. And I remember telling myself I won't go back to aviation and flying until the technology is a little bit more advanced and the engines are silent, whether that's like electric or free energy. And I ended up taking a break, and I just continued on what I loved doing, which was traveling and surfing. And so I made that happen, and I traveled for many, many years and lived in various different places. And eventually I found myself on a spiritual path in my mid-20s. And I continued on, and now I'm in my early 30s. And this past summer, so almost just over a year to date, I remember standing next to, I met a friend who, she instantly connected with me, and she remembered us in a past life. And like she felt like family instantaneously. And Julie is her name, and she lives in Kamloops, Canada. And she just, before I left Canada, because my intuition was like, get out before it got worse. And I'm like a Canadian refugee, and I got out before they closed everything up.
Yeah.
Because I've learned, being on a spiritual path, I learned to kind of live my life from the seat of my pants. So that's what I've been doing. And I literally just, sometimes spirit doesn't tell me what to do until like a week before. And then I'm like, okay, total 180 of plans. So it's hard for me to have a rigid schedule. But she was like, I need to meet you physically before you leave Canada. Make sure that we meet. And so this was last June. And so I did a trip out to her before I left to cross the border. And we went to this national park with this massive waterfall. And as we're standing by the waterfall, and she didn't know anything about me. She didn't know I went to pilot school or any of my history or my background. And as I was standing next to the waterfall, we see half of the face of the waterfall completely shift and break off, and like for a split second, and come back. And my ears plugged up, like the pressure, I could feel the pressure change in my ears. And I just all of a sudden went, whoa. I felt like I did when they'd take me off planet when I was young. Because at this point, I was kind of connecting the dots of my childhood and what was happening to me. And I had numerous fainting spells when I was younger. And it was connected to malevolent and also benevolent, physical abductions of sorts. So I kind of mentioned that to her. And all of a sudden, she got the message. She's extremely intuitive. She got the message. You're here to resurrect a plasma ship, or you're here to pilot a plasma ship. And I'm like, And when she said that, my entire body started just like goosebumps, like energy flowing, like, you know, it was just instant psychic hit like through my whole entire body. And I just knew, I was like, everything up until this point in my life made sense. You know, everything started falling into place of why I felt how I did when I went to pilot school, why I had certain experiences when I was younger, why I was drawn to surfing, all these things. I was just like, no doubt in my mind, I was like, yes, like that is accurate. And she actually had a vision of me finishing up my training on the ship, because what they were doing, they were taking me in and out of basically time, bringing me up on the ship, because time doesn't, in the galactic eyes, they don't look at time as the way that we're programmed to look at time. No one really does, except for, you know, it's a program. It's not linear. It's more of a spiral. And so time doesn't actually really exist. So they can literally like take us in and out. You know, I could be up on the ship for months and then come back in and continue on my life, you know. So basically I was finishing up my training, and she saw me like with the panels around, and I was standing right next to a galactic commander who was basically my trainer. And I was just finishing up my training, and later on I got confirmation that I am already trained. All the information's in my field, and literally when I connect to the ship I'm meant to resurrect in this lifetime, everything's going, I'm going to instantly know what to do. So since that experience, that was like, okay, mission activated. I, you know, a week after that, you know, all these synchronicities started happening around the situation. You know, being guided to watch certain videos of channeled information to do with pilots and resurrecting plasma ships, and, you know, all of this, you know, crazy synchronicities. And again, I'm getting like crazy psychic hits and confirmations that this is real, as far out as it sounds. But basically I am, you know, I contain in my DNA, I contain the frequency keys to one of these Earth-based plasma ships that were coming back into resonance to meet again. Because since time is a spiral, we're coming back into resonance and we're going to physically meet it. And this ship was last piloted by myself during the time of Atlantis. And so, yeah, it's Earth-based. It's in the South Pacific. So for the past year, I've been strictly hyper-focused on my mission, and more information coming in, and, you know, pieces of the puzzle, and my connection to it's getting stronger by the day. But basically, there's a series of these ships. They're connected to an intergalactic mothership that has come back into our atmosphere quite recently. And now it's in Earth. It came back into the galaxy, and now it's actually in the Earth atmosphere as well. Within the past month or so is what I was told. But yeah, a week or so after I connected to that, I was in meditation, and this tall light being comes right into my field on my left side. And I was just like, who are you? You know, like, you know, I was like picking it up. I'm like, okay, there's somebody here, and I can feel you. And all of a sudden I got a psychic image of my stuffed bunny when I was younger. And I got so emotional. You know, I started crying because I realized that stuffed bunny that I was so attached to when I was really young, like 2, 3 years old, 4 years, take it everywhere with me. It was the projection of this being that was part of my star family, projection of his consciousness into my stuffed bunny. And who I was actually speaking to was truly him. So
Wow.
everything just fell into, like, I just instantly knew. And I had such a strong emotional reaction that I knew this was real. And so I started talking to him, and I'm like, wow, where are you from? And he's, you know, Andromeda. Later on, I realized the name of the area that they call themselves, that they come from. He says the people of Apakai, which is Andromeda constellation. And his name is, it was a long name, so I just call him Auntie for short, but it's Auntie Mietra, the long version of it. And he looked like an old Chinaman, so long straight hair, white hair, a little kind of like goatee, beady eyes, and like when he smiled, like his whole face just like lit up. And it's just the energy of him. Like whenever he comes in telepathically, I can't stop but smile, because it's just, yeah, it's amazing the energy that he has. Super high frequency. But he's on one of the spiritual councils, one of the higher councils that are guiding the. He oversees a lot of the operations that are happening here right now. So I regained contact with him, and with how these things happen, everything has a timestamp. Like, he couldn't come in and reconnect to me in the physical before I reconnected to my mission because of free will. They don't want to mess with the timelines or interfere. So it's really up to us to reconnect to ourselves, do our inner work, and remember who we are before we have like more assistance coming in. So yeah, he then relayed me to a guardian of my ship. And so I want everything to do specifically with the ship, I connect with her. And that's a different telepathic connection, but she's earth-based. Her name's Ishkla. And so, yeah, since last July, basically, I've been, on this mission nonstop. And more and more information is coming in. The closest landmass to the ship is the big island in Hawaii. So I got called to come over here and do a bit of work with the land and to physically connect with the ship. And I was recently told that there are I'm starting to get more and more information come in about the other ships that are connected to mine. So I just got word, because we work I basically found a few of the crew members, and we basically as a unit. So, and that way we just bounce things off each other, and everything comes in. Like if I'm getting distracted in the 3D, then the message will get to, Tracy or Tamake, or so it's like we all work as a unit right now, and we're all coming together. But yeah, I was told that there's 2 ships, and they want me to push this out publicly because not all the crew to these ships are awake. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes stages of people remembering, through this ascension process, remembering who they are and the things that they're connected to. Like, these missions are so far out from the reality we've been programmed that it's, my biggest obstacle was my own self-doubt this year. Like, my self-doubt, my ego just kept coming up. Like, how do you know this is real, Kate? Just that little voice in the back of your head. And it's, that was my biggest obstacle. But like, I kept getting confirmation after confirmation and validation through various sources, through my 9 senses. And it's to the point where you can't deny it. Like, it's just like in your face. Yeah, I've just been fully gone. I know this is my mission. I know I'm here to do this, and to actually resurrect. We're going to see this physical plasma ship very soon. And we're going to build these intergalactic hubs to house these ships, where we'll have, intergalactic exchanges and communication. And so that's another part of my mission. But yeah, it's really, I'm here to assist everyone. I've had lots of people come to me, with their what they think they're connected to some of these ships. So yeah, I'm just here to speak my truth and spread the word, and seed it into humanity's consciousness that this is real, and we're going into this era, this really exciting era, where we're coming back into resonance with these advanced technologies that are heart-based. Yeah, so
It's when you talk about the information and the confirmation and all that, and I know in my experience and many others that I've come in contact with, is once you realize who you are and you sort of wake up to who you are, and you ask for the information, the confirmation, and you can't stop it after that. You cannot stop it.
right.
It's going to hit
Yeah.
you. And even if you go, okay, all right, that's enough, and I don't know if I believe it, it's going to keep coming. And
Right. Yeah. Like, for example, like, I just want to, I like, there's so many pieces to my story, and so many, like, it's pretty, there's so many elements to it. So I forget things a lot of the times, and my mind's really not in linear time at all anymore. So it's I forget when I tell my story. But, like, I would ask Auntie, like, okay, show proof that you exist. Like, even though that bunny, like, was enough for me, but my doubt kept coming in. It's like, well, show me proof, manifest something in the physical for me to connect to. And I'm like, well, manifest something to do with like spaceships. Anyways, then that day when within 24 hours, I had left the property I was staying on, and I went into town to go to the post office. And I'm in lineup. It's the first time I'm in public since I requested him to do that, and I honestly forgot that I even asked him to do that. And I'm in the lineup for the post office, and there's a lady in front of me with her package. The box is open, and I can kind of see it's angled towards me, and I can see what's in the box. And it says UFO string lights. And I'm like, and I was just like, I just started laughing because I'm like, I totally forgot I even asked him to do that. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
There you go.
So again, like, yeah, just the craziest stuff happening this past year. And it's just like, you can't deny it. And I didn't even share with the 2 other ships because they want me to share this, but the mothership that was coming and communicating with us now. But there's 2 ships off of Galapagos Islands that are connected to mine. And so they want me to just share that publicly, that there's 2 confirmed ships off of those islands as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And when you talk about the confirmations and all that, and a lot of times it's very subtle, and you have to really pay attention. And I'm continually amazed about synchronicities and confirmations and things like that, because it could be anything. It could be something written on the sidewalk, or a sign that you see, or somebody will walk by you and you'll hear just a little phrase of what they said and go, it was totally what you were ready to hear or needed to hear. So it's very fascinating and wonderful, once you get sort of connected like that and get on that path. Okay, so I want to bounce back to the plasma ships and all that, but before that, I know that you were guided to meet Huna Flash, and so I want you to sort of tell us about that, if you wouldn't mind, because that's a real interesting story too, right?
Yeah. So, throughout the years of being on the spiritual path, I really have been able to sharpen my 9 senses again. I was really in tune when I was a child, but, you get through programming and stuff, and you don't get exterior validation of your abilities because everyone's like, oh, that's woo-woo. That's like you're imaginary, blah, blah, blah. So like you shut them down. And so I got reconnected, in my mid-20s, I started working on, trusting more. And actually, one lady once told me, which is amazing, and I always keep this in mind, is that whatever information is coming in, trust it until proven otherwise. And when you do that, you'll notice that you'll get more validation and things will get stronger and stronger. Because like you said, the messages are so subtle. And so when I got called, when the whole pandemic began, I saw how many people in my community were just like, the majority were no problem, put a mask on. And like, if you know anything about holistic health, you would never ever do that. So the fact, like, I thought I was in a pretty conscious community, but the fact that people were just bending over backwards to this, even like in seeing the silent majority, I was like, I could foresee the future timeline and how this was going to get worse and worse. So instantly Spirit was just like, you got to go down to the States, where people are actually standing up. There's a group of patriots, resisting this bullshit. Excuse my language. But so
let's call it what it is, right?
yeah. So I went down to the US quite early on. When was it last? I can't even keep track of time anymore. I think it was last summer. And when I arrived, so we took a 75-foot vessel, an ex-military vessel that I was doing surf charters on with a friend. So he was American, so we took his boat across the border. And the immigration officer who met us and who was doing up my visa, he gave me back my passport, and he's like, oh, and by the way, I gave you 7 months and 1 week, something really like such a crazy number. And I remember looking at the date, February 3rd, 2022. I'm like, like Spirit's like, yeah, this date's really important. Like, pay attention to it. And I was like, okay, yeah, these things don't happen just like that. Something had stepped in to, obviously, have him do that. And so, the time is approaching, and I'm like, oh, I got to get out of the US. And I was going to go down to Mexico, and I was, already, I was told by my contacts that I'm to start refamiliarizing myself with the Stargate systems of the planet. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do that? And they're like, of course, they're like, someone will cross your path, just like they'll come your way. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I'm on YouTube and I come across a video of Huna Flash and Terra by Janine. And as soon as I tuned into it, I instantly knew, I'm like, that's the guy I'm supposed to like connect with. And so I reached out to him and we have a call, and we're already in communication and stuff. And I shared all the information I was getting. And then the time's approaching and I call up Huna. I know he's in Mexico. And I'm like, hey, Huna, I'm not too sure. I got to be out of the US by this date. I'm not too sure if I'm going to go on the Pacific side or the Yucatan, because I surf. So I was thinking Pacific, you know. And I'm like, it's February 3rd, 2022. And then he goes to me, that's my birthday. I'm like, oh, bingo. I'm like, okay. It's like, this is how the universe works. And I'm like, okay, clearly I'm supposed to go down there and see him. So I went down and I stayed with him for a few months, and which was amazing. He's the most heart-centered, giving service to others. You know, he's the real deal. You know, so I started working with him as soon as I got down there, and you know, I learned quite a bit. So no doubt that he is of the Maori lineage, which is a subtribe of one of the most ancient subtribes of Lemuria. And he's actually an elder to the elders of Hawaii. So I'm already working with a lot of the kahunas in Hawaii right now. And I'll be working more closely with them because my ship is actually in one of their prophecies. Wow. And it connects back to the blue giants that used to walk here. So basically, there are blue giants in stasis on these ships, because in that lifetime, when I operate that ship, it was designed around that avatar, you know, that flesh suit, whatever you want to call it. So everything's like, you know, the controls are giant, everything's built big. So my human vessel, you know, it wouldn't really work out that well. So they actually have the crew in stasis on each one of these ships. So again, the Avatar movie, it's actually a documentary. And it's disclosure. It's the Earth Alliance creating those documentaries. There's no coincidence that the next Avatar 2 movie is coming out in December of 2022 this year. The third Avatar is coming out in 2024, and the fourth Avatar is coming out in 2026. So this is all to seed this into people's consciousness, so they can, you know, grasp onto this reality, this actual true reality, that we will be soon walking amongst these blue giants again, because the crew members are quite large. So yeah, so it's all amazing. And if you do the numerology, right before I was on the Truth Tour marathon with Lewis Herms and that gang, which is just a crew of amazing heart-centered people from all different backgrounds, you know, spiritualists, mega influencers, truthers, patriots. And I was, right before I got on, like oftentimes when I do these interviews, I get information come in, like, you know, a channel will open up and I'll just like spit out stuff that I don't even, you know I'm saying. And I'm like, what did I say on that interview? And I go back and listen to it. Anyways, I had all this information come in about the Avatar movies right before, and Spirit told me to do the numbers on it. If you do the numbers on December 2022, it's 369, Tesla free energy, time travel, pi. And so that all connects to, you know, what we're stepping into. And I recommend everyone go and look up that trailer for Avatar 2, because there are codes in it, ancient codes, that will help to activate you, connected to Lemuria and the giants. And you know, that's what we're going back into. We're not going into this Atlantean, you know, transhumanist timeline. No, we're going back to the Lemuria timeline, and all those codes are in the Avatar movies. So yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to see that. And that when that movie came out, I instantly just resonated with it and absolutely loved it. I went out and bought the Blu-ray version and all, you know, all that stuff, and watched it several times. But we know that there were giants. It's so obvious. There's been major, huge skeletons found all over the world. Uh, a lot of them were found in the U.S. There's been all kinds of things like that found actually in Grand Canyon, and they Egyptian stuff found there. I mean, there's so many things that we don't know
Oh
squat
yeah.
about our history. We've been lied to so much. There's so
Hmm.
much fabricated timeline.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, totally. And the government had groups, like had, employed groups of people to actually go out and dispose of these bones, like in the
right.
60s and 70s. So they were going out on boats and dumping and sinking the bones. So, and there was lots of them. This operation went on for a while. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we know that all that stuff happened. Um, Also, there's these things. I think they call them buttes, where it's a formation that comes out of the ground, and then it just goes. It's flat at the top, and it looks just exactly like a tree stump. So when you think
Hmm.
about the giant trees, we had giant people, we had giant trees. It makes so much sense, and these are all over the world. And they say, "Oh, that's just a volcanic eruption caused
Right,
that, and it
right.
just went perfectly flat at the top, and it just happens to look like a tree stump, and it just happens to have roots that we can see with sonar equipment that look just exactly like tree roots,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
have been crystallized or petrified or whatever." So yeah, it's a lot of confirmation about that.
Well,
But
it's like
let's
the oceans too, It's like, oh, we only have 20% of the oceans mapped out. It's like, how on earth do you have only 20% of the oceans mapped out? We have the technology to obviously they're hiding something.
Well, yeah, we have 20% that we want to tell you about, but the
Yeah,
rest of it,
totally.
we're going to keep to ourselves because we don't want these the peasants to wake up, and find
Right.
out what's
Yeah, we
really
don't want
going.
them to remember who they are, that there's almighty
Yeah.
powerful, galactic royalty.
Yeah, that wouldn't serve the evilarchy, as I
Yeah.
call it, very well for us to find out those things.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what kind of communication now are you having? Are you having with the ship? Are you having with other beings and involved with your mission? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've had community. So my primary contact is Auntie, my Andromedan contact. And my telepathic connection to him is when he comes in, it's on the left side, the back rear of my head. It's kind of like a suction cup. So when I telepathically connect with him, it's a different connection. And he's like my go-to for everything, because he's part of my star family. One of my primary guides who are assisting me right now. And he's on one of the ships in our atmosphere. So I do work a lot with him. And then he relays me, like, I don't really go out and just reach out to anyone, like I always go through him. So, if there's a being that's trying to get in touch with me, then I'll run it by him and I'll have him relay me to that being. So he relayed me to one of the guardians of my ship, Ishkla, who's an inner earth being. And that telepathic connection is on, it's sharper and it's more on the right side of my brain. It's a different sensation when she comes in, and it's like instantaneous. Those are the two primary, like anything specifically to do with the ship, I ask her. And then general stuff, I go to Auntie. And then I've been in touch with the commander too, who's trained me, who's Palladian. Yeah, as we'd call it, but
Us
they don't call
Palladians
it.
were
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So are these ships, are they on the ocean floor, or are they buried, or do you have any information about that?
I recently got mine's like off to the side. It's near actually under an underwater city. Um and I was recently told that it's called Miata, the city, which means in Lemurian a new dawn rising. So Ishkla told me the name of the city that's near my ship is it's an active city actually. That's under on the ocean floor, and it's got a heavy connection to the inner earth, and like an entrance to and from.
Is it
Um,
a dome city?
yeah, yeah, it's a dome city. I always knew there was an ancient city there where near the ship, but I had no idea it was active until recently, and I got that confirmation that that's an active one. And then, yeah, mine's near, it's close by. We basically pinpointed the coordinates of it, me and my team. So, and
So if we had a submarine, would we be able to go down and take a look?
Yeah, it's still slightly in a higher density, so you may not see it
Oh,
fully,
okay.
in the physical. Like we're still, there's still a time, like, we need to come into resonance with it. But
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah, you'll definitely see, something that,
It'll be a blurry spot in the water.
yeah, yeah. So it's exciting. Moving forward, like I don't have all of the, they only give me certain amounts of information at a time. I don't have a full memory, yet. So,
It's that need to know thing, right?
right, yeah, yeah. So in time, like I can really only talk about the things that have been confirmed, but I know in time, like more and more will come in. The information that's needed in this time period, because otherwise it's like really difficult to operate in this 3D realm if you're like fully, so they can't just download everything onto you. So it's just like everything has a timestamp.
Yeah,
um
I've learned that if we fully, could reconnect with our full consciousness and our full knowing, we would bounce out of here so fast. Just it would screw up the mission totally. So
yeah,
we
totally.
can't
And
do that. We have to.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's been times where, I've been getting ahead of myself, and you just end up chasing your tail, and it's there's no rush. Like, these ships aren't going away. Like some people are saying out there, oh, it's too late. They already activated and they flew away. And it's just like, no, that's not how, resonance and time, like, real time works. It doesn't, you don't run out of time like that. Those things don't exist to the galactics.
Yeah,
So,
Hatan used to say all the time. It's not all the time. It's not time. It's a sequence of events that we
yeah.
experience. So it's a sequence of events in the now.
Exactly.
And
And that's why the Q Alliance, the team that are working behind the scenes, they can't give specific dates because it's not about time, it's about the events. And yeah, experiencing these events and coming into resonance with it. So it's up to us consciously, in terms of like the RV financial reset, it's not even up to them, it's up to us. And to put that, to heal our wounds surrounding finances, lack mentality, and to be vibrating in abundance, putting that out into the quantum field. So we come to meet that in resonance, that experience, and we anchor it in physically. So it's already happened. Everything has already happened. It's just up to us to, make the changes from within.
yeah, we sort of have to catch up with what's already occurred. And that, yeah, I've always been told that too, that, we won a long time ago.
Mhm. Mhm.
We liberated ourselves and we became free. But we're just catching up to it in our linear time burdened world that we live
Mhm.
in. So that's pretty exciting. Now, in your communications, do they ever comment on the sort of current events or sort of where we're at in our, rudimentary timeline? Do they ever give you any hints about any of that stuff?
I don't really, I don't go into that stuff with them. I just go into the specifics of my mission. Like that's all I need to know. So I'm not here to like give, intel or whatever, or like, what's going to be happening or whatever. I'm just here to share my specific mission, that I'm connected to this plasma ship that will be resurrecting, that will be operational in this lifetime, and that I'm here to help transition the military and the airline pilots to these technologies. And we will be building intergalactic hubs to house them. So they're Earth-based, they'll remain Earth-based, and we'll be utilizing them moving forward. So, yeah.
Did they ever discuss any operations working with Earth Alliance?
Yep, I was told that I am a white hat, that I have been working with them. And recently, I was picking up this military interception energy about a month and a half ago now, I guess. Like, because I do pick up future timelines. Like, I pick up, I'm pretty, that sense, that claircognizance or whatever is pretty open in me. So I was picking up this energy that I was going to intercept because I know the military plays an important role in all this because they are, they know all about this stuff. And there is a group, there is a group working behind the scenes to help clean things up. and to put us on a specific timeline. Like the thing is, like we can't screw up at all, because they literally are, like, with time travel, looking glass technology, they know exactly what's going to be happening. So, you know, everything that we're seeing right now is indeed a movie to, like, you know, seed the consciousness and wake people up to what's been going on in a slow process. So it's not a big shock, and there's not like you know, triggering reaction or anything like that, like civil war or whatever.
Right.
So, you know, I have been working quite heavily with, I've been called to clear certain areas of the planet, like in terms of the ley lines, and to clear the satanic overlays. So, you know, basically they've put distorted light, distorted codes in certain places. You know, cities, for one, like gridlocked. They're usually built on sacred burial grounds or node points to this earth grid. So like, as within, so without, as above, so below, whatever is in our body, like we have meridian lines that assist with the transfer of energy and communication. They've basically intentionally clogged things up on the planet. So the planet has the same thing. We are the, you know, the planet is us, and we are and we are the planet. So, you know, I've been tasked to clear some of these lines to help anchor in these higher fractal energy codes. And so, as I was doing this work, Vegas is one example. I was called to go to Vegas, and ironically, there was a truther event that I was invited to speak at. The Truth Tour, which they go to 22 cities in 30 days. And so this final event in Vegas, I was asked to speak. So I flew over from Europe to attend and speak, but also they were telling me that, you know, I was tuning into the grid there, and I could pick up it was gridlocked. And the Galactics were asking me to go into ceremony to clear this distortion. And so this is like what we do as the Hunas. We do a lot of this type of work, and you know, Huna Flash has taught us with precision how to do this work and to clear these points. And so I basically called up for the Hunas, and it's like, I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm being called to do this. Do you want to come? And right away, everyone was just like, I'm in. And everyone hops on a plane. We get to Vegas. There's like 5 of us that are there. And it's just like, oh my God, it was the most magical experience of my life. We basically opened up a freaking, you know, vortex to the higher fractals, like in the hotel. And we're just constantly clearing the energies, because these events, they do tend to get like hit pretty hard by the lower realms.
Well, I want to thank you for that, since I live here in Vegas.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. So yeah, I was getting information coming in that the dumb systems underneath were still active. But they were sealed off. So we went into ceremony, and we basically, the hotel we were staying at was right next to the Strat. And I'm not too sure if you're aware, but like this overlay, false overlay, they use oftentimes obelisks, like war monuments, or these big towers like the Strat or the CN Tower in Toronto. It's all connected to this grid system, and it's like a pinching of the ley line, or pinching of these node points, to invert the energies. Like, so it's literally going against the grain of the earth, of Mother Earth. And so we did a ceremony to release these and transmute these codes. And the minute we did that, so when we do this work, we call in the Galactics, and literally they just rock up. Like, we had fleets like show up in Vegas that whole weekend that were with us. It was the energy was amazing. And they help us transmute and clear the land. So when we did this work, so when we walked out the morning we did the big ceremony, where everyone was invited to help, to assist, everyone who was in the Truth Tour. And we'll continue to, actually, we're doing a bit of more of this work in the upcoming Truth Tour. If anyone's, wants to reach out and participate, just let me know. But when we walked out the door, there was a rainbow in Vegas, and it was raining for like, 10 seconds. It was like, this stuff doesn't really happen. It's like so rare. And so we started the ceremony, and as we're doing the ceremony, this lady walks in the opposite direction, and she's wearing a satanic inverted pentagram, a satanic occult shirt, walking, so you get all of these messages, and sometimes it's subtle, but like the universe tells you, like, and confirms with you like what you're doing, the work you're doing. And so as we're doing this, I'm also being told there was 2 buildings the day before that were burnt down next to the hotel. And it was the oddest thing, because I think they were old brothels. And yeah, I think that's what they were, like old, the Vegas brothels and gentlemen's clubs. But it was like the fire lasted like 10 minutes, like, and I remember looking at it and I was like kind of concerned, because like we're like, should we rush back to the hotel to get our stuff? Is it going to be evacuated or whatever? But within a few minutes it was out. And I was like, that wasn't a normal fire. That was like controlled, and they used the beam technology, the rays of God, like where they can fine tune and put like laser heat
Mm-hmm.
to do these destructions or whatever. And I was like, that's really interesting. And I was getting information coming in that there were boots underneath us, like there was military working under the ground, in unison with what we were doing on the surface, along with the galactics, because we're all one, we're all connected. And then so we did the ceremony, and basically what the ceremony does, it clears the land, and it opens up the land to have these higher fractal light codes to come in, to anchor in. So you have it elevates the density of the energy around the land. And so what I was being shown was that they were waiting for us to do that, so the dark underneath couldn't manifest their dark portals and escape, because they use black plasma, and they can do that. They can escape in that way and manifest these portals. Gina on YouTube, she's amazing at capturing this stuff, but she's got lots of videos on that. So when we completed the ceremony, we didn't have any solid physical confirmation. We had confirmation because of the ships were there and stuff like that, and all these magical things in the rainbow. But then 2 days later, we got word that the whole downtown strip of Vegas was flooded. And I was like, okay, well, obviously we were working in unison with the Q team, and these things are happening. And then right shortly after that, I got instructed to go to DIA, where the Lucifer monument was, and do a ceremony there as well. But yeah, so I've been called, like I was just over on the Big Island, and I was called to do similar ceremonies. So we're clearing these dark overlays. So like, the satanic curses or whatever you want to call it, where they've put these, trauma energetics over the land. It could be anything really. It could be from a blood sacrifice. It could be from a war. It could be from whatever. But we're the boots on the ground clearing it to open up the grid, and that facilitates the transition and the expedites the timeline for us to come back into resonance with these advanced technologies.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I wish I'd have known you guys were here. I would have been right out there with you. We didn't know each other then.
Yeah, well, we're going to be in Los Angeles at the end of October, so you're welcome to come
Okay, yeah,
up for that.
maybe we'll have to go over there and say hello. Yeah, Vegas is there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on here. I mean, it's a sort of a wonderland in a way. There's a lot of cool things visually to see, but there's also underground connections going to all kinds of places around S4 and Area 51, all that kind of stuff. And I've met a few people who knew things about that, but anyway, they don't talk much about it because it's not safe to do so. But a lot of that crazy stuff is going on. But we're a lot of it now is like you said, being taken care of. So that's a very good thing.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people aren't speaking up because they believe it's not safe. But when you realize that everything is frequency, and you attract, like, we are manifestors. We create the reality that that we believe in or that we're focusing energy on. Like if
Mhm.
you have fear in your field and you're putting that experience out there, then sure, yeah, you may get attacked. But when you clear that from within and you're fully heart-centered in love and joy and happiness, you're not going to ever, those experiences you'll never meet. So you become untouchable. And, I was kind of laughing because I had, a few people in quite influential positions tell me, or just like put it out there publicly, oh, the pilots would never come forward. It's just way too dangerous. And I was like, I could just not help but laugh because it's totally like contradictory of what the pilot's role truly is. Like when these heart-based technologies that, is literally an extension of my field, when you come across like a reptilian ship, you're not going to go into fear and hide behind the nearest star system. No, you're going to increase your frequency, go more into your heart, raise up your density, the density of the ship. So it's untouchable, they don't, it's just, yeah, anyways, it's funny because, I had a lot of people try to project their fear onto me with that. It's like, oh, you better be careful. And it's like, no, it's like, I'm good. I'm protected. It's like,
Well, yeah, it's, when you're in a different frequency realm, you are untouchable to other ones. Like we're in a pretty dense physical one here most of the time, and we see just a tiny fraction of all the frequencies that are out there, and all the areas or levels of, or whatever you want to call it, dimensions that we can actually be in. And they don't, they will intersect at certain times, from one level to the next. But if you're jumping from 3D to 5 or 6D, it's, you're in a completely different place that's untouchable from the
yeah,
lower one.
yeah, exactly. And that's what these plasma ship technologies can do. So you transcend those lower densities and like, that's how they get out of these situations. So, it's, so it's a lot to do with controlling your field, and to be able to, like, you literally, like, these pilots cannot have any fear in their field because of that, because obviously you put the whole crew at risk.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
still
you
have
drop
fear-based
yourself
energy.
down. Yeah, you drop yourself down into that lower level, and then you're
Hmm.
susceptible. Yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
whole lot of
So like
sense.
at the beginning, when I started communicating with Auntie, he kept telling me fine tune your avatar, fine tune your avatar. So it's like a lot of it's like clearing. Yeah, because you want to be as open and in the channels as pure as possible. So um yeah, so a lot of it's just, inner work that you need to do. So yeah, it's just, yeah, it's awesome.
Have you looked into simultaneous lives that you may be having? In other words, you may be actually working somewhere on one of these ships at the same time that
Oh
you're
yeah.
here.
Oh yeah. I do know that I have, like, there's days where I know half of me is not in my body, and I'm up on the ship. So and I'm starting to have more and more of that info. So I was up in Norway at Stargate 18, which is the whale constellation it's connected to, in Bergen, Norway. And we were sitting in meditation one morning, a group of us, and um I started getting like echoes coming, like kind of this channel in my heart. I started getting information coming of me being with the Galactics, with the team, and kind of like in a meeting. And after that, I was just getting like psychic messages, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it. And then my friend Julie, who's connected to the same star family, she was out paddleboarding on the lake, and she's like, I just like had a vision of you like in a round table on one of the ships having a meeting, with the Alliance. And I was like, oh yeah. And then one of the Hunas, because I was with the group of Hunas, is like, yeah, I saw you, and I actually felt the ship right over the house we were in that morning as well. They literally came right in. And one of the Huna said that as soon as the meditation started, she saw me leave my body. It was just like zoop, like, I just like knew right away, like knew where to go. And it was so I'm becoming, more and more conscious of when I am, like, part of me, an aspect of me is up on the ship. And so yeah, we do, like, we are multidimensional, so we can be in simultaneously different different densities at the same time. So and I'm starting to physically pick up what that feels like. Like I'll be walking around and I'll be totally like zombie mode, like I was just like, I can't really operate in the 3D when like half of me is up there. And so I literally have to command my spirit to return to me. And I do that. It's like I command my spirit to return to me. I command my spirit to fully return to me. And then it comes back in. But yeah.
Yeah, that happens to me sometimes when I wake up and I have to reorient myself, and I'm like, where the hell am I? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, in this room. Okay, I see where I'm at now. And then, yeah, sometimes it's a little bit strange, and you have to reorient where you are because you've been somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Anyway, Katie, I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I want to thank you so much for sharing your information with us. There's so many star seeds out there. Come on, it's time for everybody to wake up if you're not already. I know a lot of you out there are, very much so, but there are, still a lot of us that aren't quite there yet, and we want to help them get there because we need the whole team fully activated and fully working for the light so that we can bring about the world that we should have and not the one that's been imposed on us for a long time that doesn't serve us whatsoever. Anyway, so Katie, thanks a lot. We love you dearly. We appreciate all the work that you're doing. Keep it up, and hopefully we'll be able to reconnect with you soon and get an update on all your work and what's going on.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure meeting you and having a chat. I look forward to connecting more for sure.
Yeah, me too. Okay, and everybody out there, I always say, we'll see you inside the Matrix.